Okay, the parts have come in. What we have here now is a new gear, a new clip, a new spring, and a new clip on the starter, which I've already put in the bike. Okay? And I want to go real quickly again, something a little different here than what I showed you last time. Okay. How this works again is when the starter motor turns, it turns this gear in this direction, and it gets thrown out into the flywheel. Now, because this has centrifugal force on it, and because the spring is going to be in here pushing it out, when this gear slows down because of the spline in here, and this is still wanting to turn, okay, what it does is this puts the brakes on, and this comes back in. Okay? So we're going to assemble it the proper way. Spring goes in here, like that. Our spring goes on here, our new gear. Okay? Our gear goes on like that. And you're going to drop in just like that. Our pin goes in along with our backing plate that keeps the gear from rubbing against the case. So there it is, just like that. And we're going to take this down to the shop, and what we're going to do is put this back into the bike just like this. And I'm going to show you how to take this little pin here and put a little tension on this to hold the whole thing together so you can get the case cover back on, which is the hardest part of doing this. Now, this is not truly a fix. This is just going to destroy itself again, okay, because of the design. And it's just a matter of time. This is all going to have to be done again. This is really the only real problem with Viragos is this system right here, and having to shim the starter, which on this bike we got a brand new starter, so we won't have to shim it. But what we have to do is take this unit, put it back in, and put it all back together again, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, people keep asking me what this is for, this piece here. And what it is, it just keeps this gear from rubbing against the case. It rubs against this instead. So the way it goes on is, on one side you've got 3 rings, and that fits up against this part here. You'll see 3 marks in it, okay, for this inside piece, the outside piece, and the cross piece over the top. So it goes on this way. So if you're looking at it on edge, okay, bring it up close to the camera. There's your 3 rings, okay. On the back side there's only 2 rings, okay, and that goes against the case, so it goes this way. Okay, now it's totally assembled. Now is the inside of the case cover that you removed. Just want to show you where everything's at. Here's the oil level, okay. This is where the Bendix goes on this side. It goes in here. Over here is the clutch lever, and what this is right here, you got to be really careful with. This is the windings for your alternator, and right up here and right there is the pulsers for your electronic ignition system. If you damage any of this while you're pulling off and putting it back on, if you damage this part, the windings, you're not going to have an alternator, and if you damage this up here in any way, which is pretty well tucked in, odds are you won't, you'll lose your spark. Okay, now here it is. It's all assembled. Now all we have to do is hold the back plate and the front plate with our fingers. So it's got to stay together as we're putting it in. So, whoops, as it goes in, okay, leave about a fingerful of pins sticking out in the back. I'll slip this up here. It's got to go around that gear. This has got to fit in here, like that. Got to drop it down a little bit, get the starter teeth hooked up with it, and then once we get it in there, we push the pin in. Bingo, it's in place. There it is. First time. Didn't have to do it 3 times. Now, in order to hold this in place, what we want to do is push this pin down. Okay, let me look at the camera here. See let me change the angle here. Okay, this pin, the spring pin, if we push down on that a little bit and we let go of it, it will stay in place. Okay, there's the secret to holding all that in place right there. Okay, so it's in place. We got the starter lined up with it. The Bendix is all assembled. It's in there. The pin's in there. And the spring's got a little down pressure to hold it together. Okay, now what we've done now is we've taken the gasket, which is right here, okay, and we put spray glue on one side, and we just stuck it in place, okay, and we want it to stay there. We want to line up all the holes all the way around. There's a pin over here. There's a pin over here. We just want to make sure they're all on there and stuck in place, because one of the problems is if your gasket doesn't stay in place, it makes it hard to put the cover on. Now we're putting the cover on. The first thing you have to do is right here, you have to get the kick pedal lever through the hole. Now see, this isn't all falling apart over there because we've got it under tension. That's the secret to that. Now, your cover needs to be all clean. You just slip this over, get your shift shaft through the hole. Let's see this, you have to look through the hole to see it. And very gently, we're going to work this in. And of course, it wants to fight us every inch of the way, because this is the hard part. And there it goes, up against it. Okay? Now we're going to put some screws in here, and we're going to assemble this, and then we're going to come back and show you how to put the rest of it together. As you can see, we got all the case bolts in, and it's bolted down. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take all this wiring hanging out of here, and we're going to connect all the wiring in back up underneath the toolbox. We're going to put the air filter in up there. We're going to finish plugging all this back together, all the electrical. We cut this wire, so we're going to just hook this wire back in, okay? Because there's no disconnect for it. We're going to put a connector in there, we're going to hook up all the wiring, and we're going to put that box back together. Then we'll come back in, the last thing we're going to do, or next to the last thing we're going to do, is right here we're going to reassemble the clutch mechanism. And then we'll put the foot pegs and everything back on. We have got the air filter back on, we have got the toolbox back on, we've got all the electrical connected in, okay? So what's to do next is to put the shifter on it, put the foot pegs on it, and put in the clutch mechanism, which I'm going to show you how to do the clutch mechanism. Now, when you get the clutch here, this is the clutch mechanism, okay? You have to get this bottom piece down here in this position, this piece right here, so that when you slip this on, there's also a little tab up here, you got to bend over the cable. You put this in place, okay? The next thing you do is you put your nut on it. I threw away the stock nut and got a really nifty self-locking nut here. We'll put this in place. And I'm going to show you how to adjust it. Now up on the handlebar, that's all assembled already. It's already assembled. So what we're going to do, we're going to back off on this a little bit. I'm going to bring a screwdriver right in here. And we're going to turn to the right, clockwise. And as you see that, this bar is going to move back a little bit. So it moves back and down a little bit. Okay? Now, I'm going to back this off a little bit. We'll bring this down. We'll bring this down. Keep tightening this down until we hit bottom. Now, once you hit bottom, back off half a turn, and then tighten the nut. Okay? And if I was really smart, oh, there it is, I'd have my tool already here. Then you tighten this nut. Oh, there, it just slipped onto place. Okay, bring this nut down. And I don't use openings, I use boxes. We tighten that nut, and then we go up and check the clutch. See? We're pulling the clutch. That's what it's supposed to do right there. The reason we back off half a turn is give that a little slack in there. Okay? So the clutch can engage and disengage. Alright, then the last thing you do is you put this little spring in here. Okay? That just helps to pull this back a little bit once you let it off the clutch. Okay? And now it's totally assembled. All we have to do is put the cover on it, which is right here. Here's the cover. It's going to go right there like that, and that's done. There you be. Now you got the clutch, got the clutch assembly assembled. Okay, and there is the rest of it, right there. Okay? Okay, moment of truth. Let's crank the bike over. There you go, hit it again. That's good. That is a properly cranking over bike. We don't have a spark plugs in right now. We're going to have to end up doing a make run on this and get the bike actually up and running. But we have fixed the starter problem. It is working just fine. Hi, I'm Randy at Randy Cycle Service in Everett, Washington, and we are the world's smallest motorcycle repair shop. This is the book that my wife and I, Lee, wrote together. It's called How to Get Your Motorcycle Up and Running, a shop manual for all years, makes, and models. If you have a motorcycle that doesn't run, this is the book you need. You can find it at getitrunning.com. That's getitrunning.com.